Hey everybody, welcome to the Mark Parham Podcast. You can follow me online by typing in Mark Parham Podcast on Apple and Spotify, and I should pop up. So, about a few months ago, I had a TikTok account. And you know how, TikTok is where a lot of people are, just talking about things and sports and, whatever interests people. And the crazy thing about TikTok is, whenever you talk about politics or whenever you sort of go against the grain of, just being or saying something that's just, mindless, they basically try to strike down your account. And what I mean by that is, I said something, I guess, that they looked at as being too political or whatever. And all of a sudden they give you a strike to your account. And, it's crazy to me because, it doesn't even have to be something that's a curse word or something that's, offensive, anything that's political. If you go on there and you say, you support, let's just say something that maybe Republicans support, it's just like TikTok doesn't want that to be even posted. And it's sort of sad because if you look at TikTok, it's where a lot of folks are at. I didn't have a problem with their algorithm. Like, one thing I'll say about TikTok is when you put up something, I mean, you'll get a decent amount of engagement. So I'll give them credit for that. But just to try to censor folks for talking about politics and try to censor people that might support Donald Trump, and it's ridiculous. I mean, and you look at that platform and it seems like they only want folks on there to talk about celebrity gossip and to make up new dances. It seems like that because, anybody that comes on there that's talking about, real things or politics or something that's, intellectual, they have a problem with that. It's so crazy. By the count that I had, I mean, I was I was up to like 100,000 likes, and people were liking some of my content, and maybe they saw that and said, you know what, we have to stop that. And I'm not the only person. I mean, you have other people that have set up TikTok accounts and basically have their accounts taken down because what they said was too offensive, and it's insane to me. And so it just goes to show you how a lot of these social media companies try to control the narrative about what people can say and what people can do. And it's really a shame because TikTok would be an amazing social media company if they allowed free speech. Like, it's a fast growing social media platform. I mean, I like the design and user interface, but just to censor people because they say something that goes against maybe the mainstream, that's ridiculous. And so I think it's very sad. And the only thing I can say is that, okay, censorship doesn't work. You see a lot of these social media companies and just people in tech that are censoring people because of their political beliefs and things like that. But censorship in the long run does not work because, I mean, there's other social media platforms that are going to gain those users. And so that's why you're seeing sites like Rumble that are constantly growing. I mean, some of these folks on Rumble had social media accounts in other places, and they were taken down because they might have supported Trump or because they critiqued politician or something like that. And so you're only going to make sites like Rumble and some of these other sites more popular. And to be honest with you, I'm happy that that's happening. It's sad that mainstream sites like TikTok are censoring people, but I'm happy that allegedly, but I'm happy that Rumble and some of these other places are gaining users. I'm happy about that. And I would tell anybody it's very important for you, if you're in politics and you speak out against certain things and politicians and stuff like that, if you talk about politics, create multiple social media accounts. Like create an account on X, create an account on Rumble, create an account on, Mastodon or Blue Sky, whatever you like to use. But create multiple accounts, because if you're a person that you say, you know what, I'm going to build up my following on TikTok and I'm going to stay here and post most of my content on this platform called TikTok because, I'm gaining followers and stuff like that. Don't do that. Like, create multiple social media accounts. Like, you want to be everywhere, and not just because you want to be everywhere, but because in the blink of an eye, one of these social media companies could just take down your account. And so, it's a shame. And maybe somebody will create a TikTok for, people that like to talk about politics and things like that. Like maybe somebody will look at TikTok and say, you know what, let me create a TikTok that's a TikTok website that, promotes free speech. That would be amazing. But, it's sad and it's pointless because, the certain ideas and thoughts are going to get out to the world anyway. So, okay, yeah, somebody's saying something that maybe the people behind TikTok disagree with, but it's like there's other places folks can go. And so maybe, that's the silver lining in this whole situation that I went through. It's like, you know what? Sit up and start looking at some alternative, social media companies. And, I know there's probably millions of folks that have went through the same thing, that, worked hard on their accounts, that posted stuff that was getting a lot of, engagement and comments and things like that, just to have their account, taken down. But what's funny is, you can go on TikTok and, if you're saying something that they agree with, I guess the folks that run TikTok, then, they just let everything slide. Or for folks that are, I guess, very popular, or, people that are famous in the media and things like that, I guarantee you they don't take those accounts down. Like, I guarantee you if Chelsea Handler said something that I said, they would leave her account up. And, it's just very sad. It's very sad that we're in 2026 and people think, censorship is, something that's people are going to agree with or that's going to work in the long run. I mean, you may be able to censor a person now, but I mean, there's so many different ways to get your message out. And by them doing stuff like this, I hope that it's encouraging, people in the technology sector to create, new websites and new ideas. And it's going to be very important in the future. It's going to be very important. And believe it or not, if the Democrats get in power again, even though I get tired of the Republicans, and the Republicans are not perfect. I mean, I voted for Trump. He's not perfect. No president is perfect. And, I look at a lot of these Republicans as not being for, the best, I would say not necessarily listening to their voters when it comes to, supporting America and supporting, Americans and things like that. But if you let some of these Democrats get into power, and I'm not saying all the Democrats are like this, but if you let like the AOCs of the world and some of these folks get into power, I mean, if someone like her becomes president or something like that, they're going to probably try to censor X and a lot of these other platforms that are exposing a lot of corruption and things like that. So it's very important to, and I said this in another podcast, to support people that support free speech. That's, to me, one of the number one things. And so the silver lining in Trump being president, and I do disagree with him on a lot of stuff, but at least now you can say certain things and it's not like, we're going to take this person's account down. Like, I remember before Trump was president, I mean, if you said anything about, health or anything about science that was against, the mainstream views, they would take your account down. Now, at least you can say certain things without your account being taken down. So, that's the one good thing about Trump being president. And I think now people want to be able to express themselves. And it's insane because, these social media companies would make so much more money. I mean, because they like money. They're, I guess, capitalists. If they just let people say what they need to say. And I'm not saying, things that are, people don't need to go on there and say stuff that's, violent or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, like, if somebody disagrees with a policy or a political party or a president or a politician or wants to talk about the black community or the Hispanic community, like, instead of labeling that as being harmful or racist, like, let that person express themselves. It's one thing if it's violence. Folks who are talking and saying violent things on the internet, those people after the day, it's just like no one condones that. But if somebody is sitting up and talking about, what destroyed the black community, or, why are folks in the Hispanic community doing this, or why are we doing this in the Middle East? Like, if you're saying stuff like that and questioning things, that shouldn't be taken as someone being hateful. And for some reason, TikTok looks at that stuff. I'm going to say allegedly, but TikTok does that. That censorship when you talk about those things. I don't know what the reason behind that, but it's backward to me. And so again, in the comment section, let me know how you feel. I know I'm rambling, but just let me know if you've been censored by TikTok, if TikTok has taken down your account, and just let me know how you feel about TikTok and censorship on that platform. I mean, even though they claim probably they don't censor folks, but they do, allegedly. You have to say that now to just in case. But just let me know how you feel about TikTok and censorship on that platform. Thank you.